Okay, so everyone's here, or mostly here, I think. And this is, of course, Astronomy 101. And I'm Professor Reichert. You can call me Professor Reichert, Dr. Reichert. Either's fine. And let me just get a sense of the class here. And I would say use your little reaction tool down at the bottom, but I can't, there's 7 pages. I can't see everyone at the same time. So let's do something probably ill-advised. Everyone turn off your mic, or turn on your microphones. And if you're a first year, shout out. How many first years?
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
Everyone.
Hey.
It's on campus. I just do a set of hands. Okay, so that was an audio survey of the class. Okay, how many turn your microphones off? First years. Second years, sophomores. How many sophomores do we have?
Yeah, that's what's up.
Oh God, it's loud and unruly.
And so given the fact that first years tend to be shyer and more timid, I'll boost their audio score a little bit. So I think I have 3 times as many first years as sophomores. Juniors.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Woo!
Okay.
Hey.
And those who put off their science requirements the last minute.
Okay, I don't need you to call me out like that.
Yeah, really, seriously, man.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
Totally fine. Put off your science requirement. I'm glad you chose us to take it. Okay, and mute your microphones when you're not using them, but good. Got a sample of the class. I know there are real people out there I was saying as we're coming in, it's a weird format for me. I like to be in a large classroom. I like to wander around the classroom, have discussions, even though it's hard to have discussions in a big classroom. I like to try to make that happen. And this is a even stranger format where I can only see 25 of you at a time, and I keep shifting which ones. And anyway, I want you to feel free to interrupt and ask questions. Don't be that one student who does it constantly. There's always one, but don't be shy about it either. Ask questions, and we can have some discussion. It makes it more interesting for everyone and for me as well. Okay, so today is basic. We're just going to go through the basic information. There's going to be no content today. We'll start that next class. But just course mechanics, how it all works, syllabus, some of the different online tools that we'll make use of. So I'm sharing my screen. So you can see a couple things. You see a browser. I have slides up on the right-hand side. I also have a doc cam that I can bring up from time to time that I'll make use of.
I just talked to the lady who mans the desk. Like the mail desk. Yeah. And she says usually USPS comes at around 2 or so.
Okay. David gets muted. There we go. Trying to figure out if that was a question for me. No. Okay. So here I am on Sakai. So almost every course you're in will have a Sakai site. I know the 2nd, 3rd, 4th years, 5th years, I don't know. You know this stuff, but we have a lot of, as you heard, a lot of first years in this class. So a lot of this is new to a lot of people. There's the Sakai site. Since we do use Webassign for many of the course components, most of the stuff will be over there, but I did create a very basic Sakai site. So you can go there and get a copy of the syllabus. It's under this link right here. And so you'll probably want to go there and bring that up because we're going to go through that today. Also, I'll put the Zoom link information. We'll see how it goes. I'm probably going to do a fresh Zoom link every week. I don't want us to get Zoom bombed, although it hasn't happened yet. Personally, I'm curious and think it might be interesting, but it is disruptive. So I'll be changing the Zoom link every week, and I think you have to have UNC credentials to get in as well. But anyway, I'll post that there. Also, I email it, usually the day before, and that link should work for Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And as you can see here, there are 2 sections back to back. Section 1, which is you. Section 2 that comes in after you. And I'm recording all this, and I'll put all this online. And it's just going to be a single Zoom link. You guys will file out, and other people will file in. Though if you sleep through the first class, you're welcome to come to the second. It's just the same material again. It's hard to tell which one will be better. Sometimes The first one is a practice run, and I'm getting the stuff all back in my mind. I've been teaching Intro Astro forever. But, you know, maybe the first one's a practice run. I perfect it in the second. Or I nail it the first time, and then I'm tired and don't do as good of a job in the second. So it's a crapshoot. But I'll record them both, and I'll probably pick whichever one's better that day, and I'll post it online to a YouTube site I'll show you. Anyway, there's that. And also any emails I send out to the class, you know, it goes to whatever email is in the university system. It'd be your UNC email. But I'll also put them here on the Sakai site. I sent out an email about a week ago about how to get your textbook way, way cheaper. And I'll mention that stuff again today. And then there is a series of emails about the lab course. Because the lab course was listed as hybrid, that we're really going to hold it mostly remotely. And you can do it completely remotely if you want to. So talk more about that later. That's the Sakai site. So I'll just bring up the syllabus here. And you can watch this one, or again, have your own available if you want. And let's just go through the information. And I really haven't planned anything. Well, just whatever comes to the top of my mind, I'll rattle out, and hopefully it covers most everything we need. So again, this is the solar system course. Intro Astro is split into 2 courses. 101 is a prerequisite for 102. Lots of people take 101, maybe about 400 students per year. Maybe about 15% go on and take 102 or 202. 202 is kind of for those who are going to become majors. 102 and of course 101, people who are just interested in the topic. But this is the solar system version. I'll talk about some of the material we'll cover. Their IM class location is on Zoom this semester. As I said, I'll send out a fresh meeting ID at the beginning of the week. And you just, well, I don't have to tell you how to get there. You all figured it out. And those who didn't aren't here, so there's no point bringing it up now. The 2 class sections, I already mentioned, they're 2 sections back to back, and you can attend either or neither. You can watch the recording after the fact. Some people are on the other side of the world and couldn't get back into the US. And so they'll be watching probably asynchronously. And office hours will also be by Zoom. And I've set up, I've already scheduled those for the whole semester. And if something weird happens, I'll change the meeting ID, but that's what it will be. And it's Thursday from 2 to 3:30, or if you can't make those, I'll do it by appointment. I should say, you know, I'm going to be available before class, between the classes, and after the second class. And particularly after that second class, I'll stay as long as necessary to answer questions. That's kind of informal office hours. But if you want formal office hours, 2 to 3:30 on Thursday. And I picked that because it straddles 2 different time slots. It's the last 30 minutes of, you know, we have these weird time slots. First years, this is not the usual times that we have our classes. It's all been spread out to make time for you to transition between classes and stay 6 feet apart from everyone. But anyway, the first half hour of my office hours is the end of 1 class time period. Then we have the 30-minute transition, which I'll still be available because I'm just sitting here at home. And then the first half hour of the next one. That way, if you're in a class, you still have other opportunities. It's only if you have back-to-back classes and they're not online, you can't get to a computer, that may not work for you, and then by appointment. And anyone's welcome to show up. Often a number of people show up, and maybe one person puts out a question, and I'll work through it, maybe over the doc cam, which I have on my left here, and then everyone can benefit from it. Of course, people come in, cycle out, the same questions get asked over and over, but that's okay. And there's one of my emails, unc.edu. You can also send it to @email.unc.edu and @physics.unc.edu. All of them go to the same place, which is my off-campus Gmail. I think in violation of state law, but I just like the interface more. So I'll read. And this being recorded, so, you know, oh well, I'll probably get slapped for that, but I'll probably respond to you over Gmail, but it gets forwarded to it. Okay, those are the basics. Any questions about that stuff? Okay, moving on to the lecture and the text. Lectures and the text. So our textbook is Astronomy Today by Chasen and McMillan. This is an old version. This is actually the 6th edition, which I don't recommend we go that far back. If you got my email previously, I explained all this, but I'll just explain it again briefly for those who didn't. The textbooks are crazy expensive. Like if you go to the bookstore, the 9th edition, how much is it? Does anyone want to just shout out?
It's like $80.
Oh,
$80.99, yeah.
okay, that's not that bad. Is that the rental, or is that buying it?
Yeah, that's
Rentals are like $20.
I got mine off Chegg for like $50.
I bought mine used the 7th edition, I think, on Amazon for like $7.
Exactly.
Yeah, me too.
And let me show you that now. I have those links up here, and I put them in the email before. But there are, you can get the 9th edition at the bookstore. Nice thing about the bookstore is if you have financial aid money, you can spend that. It's not like spending it out of your pocket. So if you want to spend the financial aid money, go ahead and get the 9th edition. But you're welcome to go back and get the 8th or the 7th edition. Here they are on Amazon. Now for each edition, there are 2 versions. There's the full version, which is everything for 101 and 102. If you're thinking about taking 102, you might as well just get the full version. Or you can get just the solar system version, which are just those chapters in the last chapter of the book. So here's the 8th edition full version, used for $31, rental for about 11. Here's 8th edition solar system, used $50. 7th edition full thing, used 13, and 7th edition used $7. So, and I understand if you order it, it would take a couple days to get here. Don't panic. You can catch up on the reading assignment. I'm going to encourage you to read before lecture, but it's not the end of the world if you don't do it this first week and then you do a little bit of catch up. So, however it's best for you to get the textbook, go ahead that way. There's also the Webassign access card, which is $35 online. Well, it's just straight access online, or through the bookstore, you can get the card and they'll mark it up, of course. And those are our textbook components for this course. Now, the reason you can use older editions is, I was going to say not much changes in astronomy, and that's not true. Astronomy is a very busy, active field. Lots of stuff happening at the cutting edge. I am hired as a researcher, not as an educator. I try to do a good job as an educator, but as many people here, professors were hired as researchers. And so, yeah, there's stuff going on the cutting edge, and often I'll bring that stuff in, maybe at the beginning of class, talk about things in the news. But for introductory astronomy, it doesn't change that much. Some stuff hasn't changed for centuries. There are some areas where things change a little bit, and I'll talk about that in class. And it's not the end of the world if the book's not perfectly up to date. They put out new editions because they make money that way, even if the edition is almost exactly the same. So, you could even go back to the 6th, though. I think if you get too far back, they get really expensive because they're rare. They don't exist anymore. Anyway, so any edition is fine. And, when I give the reading assignments, if it's not for the edition you have, you can pretty much figure it out. The subject titles, the section titles and chapter titles are the same. If they move something around, you can figure it out pretty easily. What else? Okay, lectures are meant, I'm sorry, the textbook, I do want you to read it once. And you really don't need to read it after that. And down in the Webassigns, you'll see the reading assignments. For each part that I'm teaching, it tells you what sections you should read. And a lot of it's just straight in order, though sometimes I jump around a little bit. And I'll show you where that information is. But definitely read it once. And I'd appreciate it if you read it before class, because then you come into class with a base of knowledge already. You're not hearing it from the first time. And then I can take you a little bit beyond that. I'm not going to cover everything in the textbook. There's not enough time. So I have to pick and choose the things that are most important. Though technically anything in the textbook, in the solar system part of the textbook, is fair game during an exam. But I almost always exclusively stick with the stuff I emphasized in class. So some stuff I'll skip, other stuff I'll introduce that's not in the textbook, that I personally feel is important. I know how I like to teach this class, and often we'll switch the textbook out to a totally different author, totally different publisher. Does not change how I teach the class, really. So it gives you a good background, a good base, but then we'll build off of it. Just looking at the syllabus. Oh, and then it says, so the lectures are kind of the most important thing. In the homeworks as well. For getting ready for an exam, the homeworks and the lectures really matter. And I'm recording all these lectures and I'll post them on YouTube. I have a YouTube site. I'll put that over here. It's Intro Astro. So youtube.com/introastro. Here it says user Intro Astro, but just youtube.com. Oh, it's in the syllabus. And you link on it. And I have videos for the lab course here. I have videos for this course that are pretty old at this point, 8 to 10 years old, but a lot of the material's the same. And you can see me doing it in front of a classroom setting if you want to use those. I do a lot of demos, and it's going to be harder to do that in the online format. I may have to get my wife to come up, and I'll turn the dock cam around, and we'll do the demos for you here in my office upstairs. But if you want to see the demos, those videos are good. And then I'll create another bar, probably say something like Astronomy 101 COVID edition. And I'll just dump our lectures there. Nice thing about these ones, they've been broken into topical segments. If you need something about a certain topic, you can go back and find it. But the ones this semester, I'll just dump them by the various lessons we do and the date. And you have to go searching. But it'll all be here on the YouTube site. Back to the syllabus. Okay, let's talk a little bit about what, before we move on to Webassign, some of the stuff that we'll cover. Let me just check the time again. This runs until 2:10. I still have 30 minutes or so. Okay, so the stuff that we'll cover, I'll just kind of crack open my copy of the textbook, which is 6th edition, but again, they don't change that much. Just kind of as a recall for myself. I divide this into 9 lessons. 102 is also divided into 9 lessons. Each lesson is like a chapter or 2 in the textbook. And the division between 101 and 102, in case I haven't said it already, 101, it's called the solar system, but really it's a toolkit, the things you need to know to do astronomy. And we'll apply that toolkit to the solar system. If you then go on to 102, you don't have to relearn the toolkit. We can just, 102 is stars, galaxies, and cosmology. So this course is everything in the solar system. We'll talk about planets around nearby stars as well. The next course, if you choose to take it, is everything all the way out. But this is solar system, and we'll bounce around a little bit. We'll start with some solar system stuff, but some really basic stuff, like celestial motions. How does the sky work? The rotation of the Earth and how that makes the stars appear to go around. Earth's orbit around the sun. More subtle things like Earth's precession. Earth spins on its axis like a top, and tops wobble and precess as they go. We'll learn about those motions. We'll throw the sun in there, learn how the seasons work. We'll throw the moon in there, lunar phases, eclipses, the Saros cycle, just the basics to get started. And then in lesson 2, we'll throw the planets in, but from a historical point of view. Planet means wander. It's something that doesn't move with the stars. It wanders with respect to the stars, and hence it got that name. It's either Latin or Greek, I forget. And we'll tackle this from a historical point of view, going back to the ancient Greeks. They had their own model of how the universe worked, with Earth at the center. It's a common fallacy of humankind to always put ourselves at the most important place in the universe. We used to think we were the center of all things, and so the ancient models are built up around that. And they're actually rather interesting and creative how you explain the planets if Earth were the center of all things. And then later on, much later on, with Copernicus, Kepler, and Galileo, and Newton, we realized the Earth is just one of the planets going around the sun. And then, this is actually an organizing theme for 101 and 102. We keep getting it wrong. We keep trying to put ourselves somewhere close to the center of things. In the 20th century, all the way in the 20th century, we thought the sun was the center of it. We know we live in a galaxy, and we learned we don't live at the center. We live in the outskirts. But we thought it was the galaxy of the universe. And we quickly learned, no, there are many galaxies out there in the universe, and we're just one of many. And now we know the universe doesn't even have a center. And some of that stuff is 102. But we'll start along this progression. And the lab course is based along this progression, moving farther and farther out, learning our place in space. That's the name of it, our place in space. Anyway, so in lesson 2, we'll talk about the planets from a historical point of view, going all the way up to Newton. Then we'll change gears and get a little physicsy. Astronomy is not just about taking pretty pictures, but well, most of what we know about the universe, we know from incoming light. We know a little bit from other particles that strike the planets, and now gravitational waves, something Einstein predicted a long time ago, that some objects will send ripples through the fabric of space and time. And we've actually built detectors to, excuse me, pick this stuff up. And a lot of my research is in there. A couple years ago, my group here at UNC, using the same telescopes that the lab students use, discovered the first optical counterpart to a gravitational wave event, two merging dead stellar remnants. So I'll try to tackle in some of my tie in some of my real research experience as we go, because hopefully it makes it more interesting. But anyway, we know most of what we know about the universe from light, so we're going to study light carefully, not just how to make a picture. Astronomers do make pictures, but that's just skimming the surface. Normally we take the light and we put it through something like a prism, disperse it into its colors, and study the spectrum, because there's a lot of physical information in there. Information about compositions and temperatures and motions and magnetic fields and gas densities. And technically I'm not an astronomer, I'm an astrophysicist. There are no astronomers, there are no paid astronomers anymore. Astronomers are the amateurs who go out and look for fun. If you want to get paid to do astronomy, it's not about taking the picture, it's about figuring out how the universe works using physics. And so we'll really get into light, because since most of the information is coming that way, we need to learn how to capitalize on, exploit every bit of physical information buried in that spectrum. We'll then, in lesson 4, turn to the instruments we use, telescopes. Something I know about, my main area of research is building these robotic telescopes we use in the lab. We build them all around the world. So I'm a telescope builder. Talk about optical telescopes. We'll talk about radio telescopes. In fact, a part of my network is a 6-story, 150-ton radio telescope. If you're in the lab, you get to use it. Move this thing around. We'll talk about spaceborne observatories. Not all light makes it through the atmosphere, so we have to go to space. That pretty much ends our toolkit, and we'll get back to the solar system and start applying it in a modern setting. Lesson 5 will be an overview of the discovery and exploration and how we know what we know, bulk characteristics of things we discover going around the sun. And then we'll dive into each one at a time. Lesson 6 will be the Earth and the Moon. We're going to use this process called comparative planetology. To understand the other worlds, we start with ones we know really well. So we're going to overview stuff, a lot of stuff you already know, but maybe I'll put it a different way, about the Earth and the Moon. Then in lesson 7, we'll tackle the terrestrial planets, Mercury, Venus, and Mars, comparing back to the Earth and Moon, learning what's the same, what's different. Lesson 8 will hit the Jovian planets, Jovian meaning Jupiter-like, terrestrial meaning Earth-like, Terra. So Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. And also their large moons. They have 6 large moons, and we have 1 large moon. And these 7 large moons are about as big as Mercury or Pluto. They're as interesting as planets. And so we'll spend some time talking about them. And then the last lesson will be a kind of a catch-all synthesis piece. I'll explain how all this stuff comes together. How did we get here from a giant rotating ball of gas? We'll also talk about planets we're discovering around other stars. When I was a student, we knew of none of them, just the ones in our solar system. Now we know of thousands, tens of thousands. And I have my fingers in some pots to discover those as well. And the last lecture will be on SETI, Search for Extraterrestrial Life in the Universe. And that's a fun way to end the course. Anyway, I spent way more time on that than I wanted to, but I want to give you a taste of the things we're going to talk about this semester and learn. And hopefully that's an interesting set of topics. And if you continue to be interested, you should take 102 and we'll go even farther. Okay, that's what's in the course. Looking back at the syllabus. Oh, any questions about any of that before I move to Webassign?
Dr. Riker, are we going to need a for the physics part, I guess that's like more math oriented. Are we gonna need a calculator for anything?
Yes, you will need a calculator. The nice thing is, since you're on the computer, you have one.
Okay.
It's built in, and here, I'll just show you right now. I'll bring up, where is it? It's hiding. There it is. You bring up your calculator, and
It's get rated like who's in the top 25% and not like what your percentage score is.
you can switch it into scientific mode.
Yeah, 90%. Why?
There you go. Sorry, I muted you, Ryan, just because you guys have some background static. Okay. Okay, let's get into the Webassigns and how they work. So to sign in, you go to webassign.net. I have that up here. And you'll enter a class key. And the class key is in the syllabus. So if I go back here to the syllabus, your class key is this number right here. If you change your section, it's not the end of the world. I'll put it all back together at the end. If your grades are in section 2, but in the university system, you're in section 1, and try to get into the right one, but if you get in the wrong one, it's not the end of the world. Don't buy it twice. Okay, Webassign, you enter your class key, enroll, check if that's your class, you hit yes. And then if you already have a Webassign account, and a lot of you do because it's a fairly widely used program, Webassign or Cengage, you can just link to your existing account. Otherwise, you can create an account, and you know, it's just basic stuff that you fill in, and then it will take you to a page where you pay for it. It's 35 bucks. And if you don't, it's either 35 bucks here, or you can use your access card that you order from the bookstore. It has like a scratch off number, and you type the number in, that gets you in as well. And you don't have to pay for 14 days. There's a 14-day free trial. And at the end of that trial, you don't have access, but nothing was lost. It's still there. And once you purchase the access, everything comes back.
Is it a one-time purchase or is it a subscription?
Webassign offers, Webassign Cengage, they're the same company now. They offer something, I think it's called Cengage Unlimited. So if you have many courses on Webassign, it may be cheaper for you to do Cengage Unlimited. If you don't, I would not do it. They'll probably push it onto you because they get more money. So just be careful. Probably on the next screen where you pay, it says, do you want Cengage Unlimited for like 110 bucks or something like that? And if you have multiple courses, it may be beneficial.
So I have a question for the lab. So we're also gonna get a Webassign thing for the lab, right? And are you gonna give us the code for that when we meet up for the lab?
Yes, when you meet for the lab, you'll be working with the TA, and
okay.
you'll get a separate Webassign for that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay.
I have another question.
Yes, please.
So if you're taking the lab as well, would you recommend getting the lifetime instead of like a temporary key?
You'll have to look at the deal. I'm not sure of the details of the deal. It may be beneficial, but I still think the lecture and the lab together don't quite get to the point that it's beneficial. It depends on what they're charging and how long it lasts. If the deal is for multiple semesters, it becomes more attractive. If it's just for this semester, you have to add the numbers. The lab Webassign is 65, this is 35, that's 100 bucks. So it's what are they charging for the package?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I don't know the details, but I'm sure you can figure it out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, and once you get in, this is what it will look like. You can select from your multiple courses here. I have it set to our current course. And you have the homework here. And it just shows the current homeworks. Once they're past the due date, you don't lose them. You'll want them so you can study from them. But there'll be another button here for past assignments, and you can get them that way. Over here, we have an announcement area. I have another copy of the syllabus. I have links to all the slides I'll use, most of them anyway. I change them out a little bit, but the bulk of the slides are here in case you want to look at them. Also, after every exam, I'll post a spreadsheet that you can use to calculate your class rank and grade. And I'll talk more about grades in a second. That will also be posted right here, but only after the 2 exams. And then after the final, I submit the grades. And also you have, they call it an e-book. It's not really a book. It's a collection of class notes. And you can access it here. It's useful. It has like every equation we'll use in the course. And it's not a complete set of notes, but usually things that are mathier or geometrical, spatial visualization, there are links in there. And I'll show you that in a second. So lots of useful stuff here. Let me just go into homework 1 and let you know what this is going to be like. So here's homework 1. It has instructions at the top, basically telling you to read the book, watch the lectures before attempting the homework. It'll go smoother. You get 3 tries per question, and most of them only have 4 answers. So I expect everyone to ace or nearly ace this. They're multiple choice and multiple select. Doesn't mean they're easy. You don't want to wait to the last minute. I designed these myself to bring out and cure common misunderstandings, to give you experience with math. About 30% of the questions are math. You shouldn't panic. I'll talk about that at some point. The math skills you'll need. It's basically high school algebra 1, which for many of you is no problem at all. But I fully understand and appreciate that a lot of people struggle with math, particularly in an intro course like this. And I'm here to help you and bring you along. It's like riding a bicycle. You'll get back on. And if you never were good at it, I'll try to make you better at it. Now, 1/3 math, 1/3 conceptual questions. 3 submissions per question. So I expect you to ace the homework. The homework's, although it's worth 1/3 of the grade, it's not going to be really discerning in terms of how well you're doing in the class unless you skip some. Even so, I drop 1 automatically. And if you somehow missed a second one, you can do a 2-page essay to get out of it. So, I'm pretty lenient. On the exams, I'll push you. And if they're tough, I grade on the curve and boost everyone, so I'm lenient in that sense too. But I want you to learn the material. This is really practice for getting ready for the exams. And I encourage you to work in groups if you can somehow form them this semester online. I think that's great, working in groups. The class as we will see is graded on a curve, but with so many students, you can easily work with a few others without blowing the curve. So don't worry about that. Like if I work with my roommate over here, then I may go down 1 rank in the class standing. With this many students, it doesn't matter. So feel free to work together. But if you're working together, don't be the person in the group just sitting around writing down the answers. Because again, everyone's going to ace this. You're not getting ahead by doing that. This is designed to get you ready for the exams. Normally exams would be 50 minutes and you really need to know your stuff coming in. But given COVID, I'm going to give you 1 day, open book, open notes. But I teach this class online where the students have that deal. And it's still challenging. They don't all ace it or anything like that. You get a few more people ace it, but it's challenging. So really, you need to learn your stuff, and this is your opportunity to learn it by actually thinking through and trying to answer these on your own. But again, given 3 attempts, you'll figure it out eventually. So put the effort in. They had 10 multiple choice questions. There'll be 9 of these throughout the course of the semester. I'll mute you because I didn't understand you. Okay, and this is not the answer. I was just playing around. Once you click it, you can't make it go away. One of these is the answer. I'm not going to tell you which one. And yeah, that's me and Buzz Aldrin a long time ago when I was a lot younger. Once you click something, a submit button comes up. Go ahead and submit it. Again, you're allowed three attempts. Or there's a submit button down at the bottom that will submit everything that's new. Again, 3 attempts per question. There's a save assignment, and you can use it, but make sure you submit. If you don't submit, you get a 0. Also, some other problems. If you have the website open for a couple hours, it won't take your answers. It times you out, but it doesn't tell you. And so you could do everything, submit, think everything's fine, and get a 0. If you have multiple tabs open, Webassign open in multiple tabs, that creates confusion as well. So, save frequently, submit at least once, and you'll want to submit 3 times to figure out, if you're getting them right or wrong. And don't wait to the last minute, the last second. And also, don't try to game me in the sense that Webassign actually records every action you take on the site. You say, I did all this work and saved it, and I don't know where it is. If you save without submitting, I can submit after the fact. I can save you from that one. But if you tell me a lie, I can tell right away. And I won't take you to honor court over this, but I will make you feel a little bit guilty. Okay, that's the homeworks. At the top, there's a link to the ebook, and we saw there's links in other places as well. Let me go over and show you that next. And it's not a book, it's a collection of notes. You can expand any lesson. So here's lesson 1. I've broken it down into topical segments. I'll probably tackle 2 or 3 topical segments per class. Let's go into the orientation, which is today. There's a link to a video of me giving a similar lecture in an in-campus setting in the past. So if you need to review this stuff, well, I'm recording this, I'm gonna put it on YouTube. You can just watch this today, but if you wanna see an in-class version of some of the other lectures, they're there. Reading assignments here, it's only for the 6th, 7th, and 8th edition. I haven't updated for the 9th, but it's the same. They're essentially the same reading assignment for all editions for the whole course. So I'm sure you can figure it out. So here for orientation, I'm suggesting you take a look at the appendices and read more precisely 1-1. This is just to remind you of some basics like scientific notation and units, prefixes, angles, stuff I'm not going to cover by themselves. We'll make use of this, and I'll go slowly initially to make sure everyone's on the same page. But yeah, if you want to do a little bit of reading right now, read that to get this stuff back in your mind. But let me show you kind of a more normal one. Like next class, we'll start by talking about size and scale. There's a reading assignment here. And you may just want to read all of chapter 1 to get ahead on the reading. But also under there, let me go back here. Some notes from lecture that may be relevant. If we used an equation, I'll put it here in blue. All equations I use in this course, strange. A little purple line appeared here. I have no idea how. There's an equation, all equations we use in the course are here, sometimes with worked out examples. I'll have some exercises, either videos I want you to watch, or maybe go outside and look at something in the night sky. And those will be listed down here as well. Okay, that's the ebook. Let me go back to the syllabus and see if there's anything else there. So I think nothing else for Webassign. Any questions about Webassign?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So is the website the only place that we can see the reading assignment, or are you gonna post on Sakai too?
And they're built into Webassign, which you need anyway, so I'm just gonna leave them there. And the trick is, I'm not gonna tell you what to read on each individual day. Quickly, you'll get a feel for how much material I cover each class, and just try to keep up.
Okay.
Again, it's better to read before than after.
Oh, okay. So the only place that you post it is on the Webassign, right?
Yep, it's built into the ebook there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on in our final 10 minutes. Let's see how much of this I can do. Grades, which everyone's of course concerned about. It's not, a lot of you just came out of high school where 90%'s an A, 80%'s a B, 70%'s a C, and so forth. That's not how it is here. And it is in many classes here, but less so in science classes. In upper level science classes, you can take an exam, get 40% right, and you just got an A-. So the percentages don't really mean anything. So that's why I'm going to provide you with a spreadsheet where you can type in your scores, your raw scores, and it will tell you your class rank and the grade that corresponds to. I do grade on a curve, and this frightens some people, but here's the deal. With large lecture classes, there's a university or college rule. The GPA, the average GPA for the class has to be a 2.6. I can push it up to 2.7 without getting in trouble, but beyond that, I'll get in trouble. I don't want to get in trouble. I'd give you all A's, but I don't want to get in trouble. So I'm given the freedom of the distribution. The way I do it is I give 25% A's, 35% B's, 25% C's, 10% D's, and and pluses and minuses are in there. I do give pluses and minuses. I just grouped them in there. And the bottom 5% will be considered for an F. If you tried everything and this just isn't your cup of tea, I'm not going to fail you. Most people get Fs are people who skipped a lot of homeworks, skipped an exam, stuff like that. If you make a good effort and are just really bad at it, I'm not going to give you an F. And so it's great on a curve, so it is competitive. And hell, life's competitive. Once you get out of here, you're competing with people for jobs. And that freaks some people out. But here's the dirty little secret. Every class is graded on a curve. They don't say it, but suppose your teacher gives an exam and it's really tough, and everyone has low grades because they set these fixed 80s, 90s. The next class will be easy, or the next exam will be easy to make up for it. It's called an on-the-fly curve. And I'm just not going to mess with it. I'm going to curve. You have a class rank. You're doing better or worse than others, and that's going to set your grade. Again, I don't have control. The middle grade has to be at 2.6, 2.7. This is just how I achieve it. I like to give kind of challenging exams, so most people are happy about the curve. It brings the grades up. But even though it's competitive, I do encourage you to work in groups on the homeworks. Not the exams. Let's go down to the exams. Oh, a couple more things about homeworks. After you submit, log off and log back in just to make sure Webassign got it. That one of these weird things didn't happen, like where it timed out and you lost everything, or just log out, log back in, and make sure the answers are the answers you want, particularly for exams. It's your responsibility. I get all sorts of sad stories, and I cannot give an extension unless there's a valid medical reason with documentation. But again, I drop one homework automatically in a second if you're willing to do an essay. So I'm pretty lenient there. And again, everyone's going to
Can I
get.
ask a question?
Please.
I don't remember if you told us this, but do we get multiple tries on the Webassign, or is it just one try?
For the homeworks, it's 3 tries.
Okay, thank you.
For the exams, it's 100 tries, but or 200 with the maximum. But I don't give you any feedback, right? You can keep changing your answer as many times as you want. The last one's graded on the exams, but on the homeworks, 3 tries, and it tells you after each try how you're doing. So. Pretty good. Again, I'm not trying to evaluate you with the homeworks. I'm trying to give you an opportunity to get ready for the exams.
I have a question.
Yes.
So with the exams, you said that like we get unlimited tries. Does it tell us like after each try what we got on it?
No.
Okay.
In other words, you get unlimited number of times to change your mind.
Oh, okay, yeah, to like change your answer.
Yeah, and you can submit. And here's the other weird thing about Webassign. I'll get tons of the questions later, but I'll just say it now. After you submit, it doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't give you feedback or anything until after the due date. So log out, log back in to make sure they have your answers. You don't need to email me because I get like 100 emails about this. So I'll just say it up front. Just wait till after the due date, and then you can see everything. And solutions. There's a button that you can press after the due date that gives worked out solutions. So if you didn't understand something, that can help you. And of course, there's office hours as well. But I'd read those solutions first. And I wrote all that out myself. Exams are different this semester. They'd normally be in class, 50 minutes, high stress. I'd let you make a cheat sheet. Can't do that this time. So I'm giving you a 24-hour period to do it. It's not timed. You can come back and go as much as you want. Open book, open notes, because I can ask you not to, but I can't enforce that. Though you're not allowed to do the exams with anyone else. If you are caught, and there are all sorts of ways that we can check similar wrong answers. Anyway, I'm not going to go through all that. But if you're caught, it's not risky. Or maybe it's someone you get along with now, but 4 years from now, they're your worst enemy, and they turn you in. Here's how it happens. You go to honor court. 99.9% of people go to honor court lose. The first time, you're not kicked out of the university, but they do put a line on your transcript saying, I'll paraphrase, but it basically says, this person is a liar and a cheat, and stays on your transcript for 10 years. And to get your first job, you kind of need your transcript. It's not worth it. This is Astronomy 101. It's meant to be fun. Yeah, I know you need it and you want good grades. And a lot of you coming out of high school, you were the top few of your class. And this is going to sound horrible, but half the people are now better than you and half are worse, literally by definition, right? You're on average, half of you are in the bottom half and half are in the top half. And I know grades are still concerning and should be, but don't obsess about it too much. This is meant to be a fun course. You don't need astronomy in the practical world. And so it's just something that you can take at college for enjoyment. I'll try to make it enjoyable, but don't risk cheating in this class or any class. It's not worth an honor code violation. I will give makeup exams. There will be excuses. Some people have sporting activities, but by giving you 24 hours, that should make it fairly flexible, make it easier for you to do it. The exams will always be given on a Friday, due on a Saturday at noon. We won't have class on those particular days. And I still recommend making a cheat sheet. It is a great study aid because we're going to cover, it's a lot of information. And to consolidate it down, if we were in class, I'd let you have one page, front and back. And to consolidate everything to a page, front and back, you'll actually learn a lot more than from taking the exam. So I still recommend that as a study technique. Okay, we are at 2:08. So I'm not going to get into the labs this time. I'll start next time. I'll give a pitch about the labs, other than to say they're optional and we're not meeting this week for the labs. So don't panic about that. But I want to give them at least 4 or 5 or 6 minutes because they're really cool. I do want to give you a good pitch on those. So we'll tackle that on Wednesday. But I'll just stop a minute early to answer questions.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Okay, my question's on the grading. So say hypothetically I had a C, but everyone else had A's and B's. Would that mean that I would get curved down to an F?
So you're working under the assumption that an 80 is a B, a 90 is an A, and they're not in this course. You will have a score, and the score will be converted into a class rank, and the class rank sets your place. I can get away with that in a class like this because between the two sections there are 300 people. There will be a normal distribution. If this were a class of 10, even 20, I would not do that. There would have to be standards and benchmarks that you all have to meet. But there is no standard for astronomy. Everyone teaches it differently. And so some people will be better at it, some people will be worse. And again, I'm not allowed to give all A's by college regulation, and that's the case for any intro class. They have to hit 2.6 or 2.7. Some of the other professors may not tell you about that, but I'm just being straight up with you about it.
I have a question.
Samantha.
So with the ebooks, does that just show us like the required reading out of the textbook for that lesson?
Yeah, it has the required reading. It will also have some general notes that you may find useful. It will have all the equations. So as you're doing your homeworks, it's helpful to open up the ebook. Also, the homeworks are in the order I taught the material, so you can actually go through and say, okay, I'll need this equation here, this equation here. Again, it's only 1/3 of the questions that require math. Most of them are concept questions.
And our first homework isn't due till next Friday?
Whatever was in Webassign.
I think it's at the 24th, I thought.
Yeah, it's the 24th.
Okay.
I don't have it up right now, but if you go to This be it? Yeah. So the first one is due Friday, August 21st. That gives you time to get the textbook. Other people join the class late. So, yeah.
How can we find the Webassign for the lab?
I haven't set it up yet. We just did a major update of those labs because we've developed some new and improved software for controlling the telescopes. We have many more telescopes. And so I shot like 33 new videos, and there's new text. And I'm trying to finalize with Webassign to get it set up. So just wait. But there's no rush there either. There's no lab this week. Next week is basic orientation. Lab 1 doesn't begin to the week after that. And so give me a few more days to get it set up, given we have a lot of new and exciting options in the lab. But it's not available yet.
All right, so hey, I have a question about the lab. I recently signed up for it because I realized I needed it in addition to like the life science. When will that be updated on Sakai? Because I did it within like the past 24 hours. So I don't know if they've completely finalized all that stuff for me yet, since I just recently added it. So I didn't know if you knew anything about that or when it would come up on there.
Yeah, this week, sometime this week. I'm trying to get the updated labs. They're supposed to have them done midsummer. They got them back to me. You know, I write the labs and then they have to code them. They're a publisher essentially. And I should say, you know, some of the money you pay, I've worked out a new agreement. Some of that will go back to fund the telescopes, which will be great. But I'm trying to get that done first, and then I'll set up the Sakai sections before next week.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? So you mentioned on the Webassign, we will find out which chapter we should read, like before or after class. So do we just cover like each one for each class, or we will cover like multiple for each class?
I cover maybe 2 or 3 of those subsections per class. Some people just go down and sit down and read the whole chapter, and then they're good for a week or 2. Just try to stay ahead.
Are you gonna like email us like how many sections are you gonna cover, or we just like, okay?
You'll get a feel for it pretty quick, and you just have to stay ahead of me.
Okay.
And, you know, if you do fall behind one day, it's not the end of the world. You'll say, oh, that's material I haven't read, so next time I'm gonna read more.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Can you just tell me the day for when our lab starts again?
Yeah, so nothing this week, and then there will be lab next week. It will be online via Zoom. You'll be sent information. It'll be during those regularly scheduled time periods, but pretty soon we're going to transition to using those more as office hours, and most of the interaction in the lab will be on discussion forums that we'll build on Sakai. I've done this before, and you actually get a lot of interaction with the other students and the instructor on these asynchronous discussion boards. But the scheduled time slots will always be open, though we probably won't be making use of the locations hardly at all.
Okay, thank you so much.
Anything else? Okay, I'll let you go, but I'm going to keep the link open. If anyone wants to have a conversation, I'll be here, and the next class begins at 2:40.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
So I've been trying to get onto the Webassign, the lesson 1, and I can get as far as clicking the link. Like I see the quiz, but as soon as I click the link to go read the chapter and stuff, it says you have to clear your cookies. So I did that like 4 times, and it still won't let me.
I remember this. So like if you're here in lesson 1, and
so I can't actually get to that part.
You can't get to this part.
No, so the farthest I can get is when there's the instructions of lessons and it says go to lesson 1 in the ebook.
have you go to, so in the homework, it basically says
Yeah, it's where the quiz is.
here.
Yeah. So as soon as I click that link, it just blocks me.
Have you paid?
No. Would that be it? Maybe.
I'm trying to remember. I've seen this before. I think if you pay, it solves all problems. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go ahead and try that then.
But
Okay.
in terms of reading assignment, just read chapter 1.
So if I have the actual book, do I still need to read? Do I still need the link? Is that something separate?
The thing on Webassign is separate. It's a collection of notes that I've put together to be helpful to you. But it's just telling, and part of that is telling you what to read. And it should be easy to access once you pay. It should be easy before you pay, but sometimes we have a problem from what I remember from last year. But just read chapter 1 and that will get you going for now.
Thank you.
And did you say that?
Oh, sorry.
Did you say that you had it listed on Sakai or Webassign about like for our readings based on what edition of the book we have?
Yes, so in Webassign, I'm going to go here again. And so it's broken down by subsection. And you can go to each subsection and then a reading assignment. And it tells you what you need for that subsection. And I covered 2 or 3 of those at a time. But usually, if you read all of chapter 1, that will get you through everything you need in lesson 1. Chapter 2 will get you through lesson 2. I think chapters 3 and 4 get you through lesson 3. So it would be pretty clear what chapter I'm at in the book. I do jump around a little bit every now and then, but normally you can be reading chapters and you just want to stay ahead. You don't have to match it up perfectly though.
I have a question. So I bought the Webassign access from the student store. So when I go to Webassign, it says that there's a free trial and it's gonna end on the 24th of August. So do I have to pay for that again, or like is it just not updated with my?
No, you only have to pay once, and I can't remember. Some of these things I can't test as the instructor, so I don't have complete student view. It may keep that warning up there for the free trial period. Though once you've paid and typed in that access code, like if you bought at the bookstore, they gave you an access code. Once you type it in, no matter what warning Webassign puts up, after that due date, you'll be fine.
Okay, thank you. And I have one more question. I don't know if you said this already, but what exactly do we have to do before next class?
I'd do some reading if you have the textbook. If not, don't worry about it.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I'm taking the lab also. Do I need any specific materials for the lab specifically, or just what I have for this class?
Just the Webassign for the lab, which is different from this one. And that one is, unlike this Webassign, that one is a textbook. I just wrote the update for it. It's like a 120-page textbook, but it's an interactive textbook with links, and you answer all the questions in there. You won't be doing like formal lab reports. It will say, do these things, and then you answer the questions it has.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Oh yeah, hey Dr. Reichart, I had a question. So for the math part that you said that we're gonna have to do, I was wondering like how much of the math you're gonna go over, or do you like expect us to kind of like figure it out on our own?
I will be going over a lot, and I'll start real slow because I know everyone's on different pages.
Okay.
So some people may be bored, and I'll warn them, don't worry, it's going to get more interesting. Of course, all the content matters interesting, I think. But for the math, I'm going to start real slow. I'm going to show you how to do calculations and unit conversions. I didn't get to it today, but like here is our or math skills required for this course. You know, you need to learn how to pick the right equation based on what's given and what is asked for. You look at those things, and those variables should match up with one of the equations. And again, all the homeworks and all the exam problems are in the order I taught them, so that will help you pick the equation.
Okay, thank you.
Solve for the variable of interest, and plug and chug. Make sure your answer makes sense. Sometimes there's a unit conversion. And that is the extent of the math in this course.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
Mine isn't really a question. Hello, doctor, by the way. It just, since you seem to be having some trouble with like having to mute some people when they speak or when their mic accidentally turns on, I remember that last semester one of my teachers was able to do a mass mute. I don't know how that works, but maybe it'll help.
I set it up with mass mute. And I had everyone turn their microphones off for that audio quiz. And I don't yet know where the new mass mute is.
Okay.
Let me see.
Anyway, this is just for curiosity's sake. What's your favorite astronomy fact?
My favorite astronomy fact? I don't know. There's so many of them. I'm not going to pick one right now, but I'm sure I will present all sorts of cool ones over the course of the semester.
Okay. Have a good day.
Oh, I got it. I get it. My favorite astronomy fact is, you know, we're attracted to the sun, and gravity propagates at the speed of light. So we should be attracted to where the sun was 8 minutes ago. That's how long it takes the light to get here. But we're not. We're attracted to where the sun is right now. So that is information being communicated instantaneously, which violates all sorts of laws of physics. There is an answer, and it involves general relativity, but that's at least one of my favorite astronomy facts.
That is very cool. Have a good day. Thank you.
You too. Are you all here for the upcoming course, or any final questions from the last course?
Hi, Dr. Raigad. I had a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm back here in India, and the issue is that I don't have the book right now, and even if I go and purchase the book, it won't reach up to me until September 7th. So, like, is the book important, or would the notes suffice?
The notes would suffice. The book gives you an advantage. But again, the lectures matter the most and the homeworks matter the most. So you can get by without reading the book. I still strongly recommend it. I forget who does this. The library keeps textbooks available for students to borrow. And they told me yesterday, since no one can be there in person, I think they've scanned the first 3 chapters of our textbook. So you may want to explore with them, and they'll give you those first 3 chapters online, which I'm sure violates all sorts of rules about textbook intellectual property stuff, but they're there. And so you could try that route.
All right, sure, thank you.
Any final questions? Okay, if not, I'm assuming you're all here for the upcoming section, and I'm just gonna take a quick break, reset everything, and let's see, the next one starts at 2:40. Check. 2:40, so yeah, I'll be back in about 5.